So today I picked this guy up. It's a 890 Duke R, and it looks tiny. I went to the store yesterday, and there's going to be a 2.0 or 660 or the 1100, this thing, maybe a 1290 Super Duke. And I heard that 2.0, man, and I'll tell you, it just, the videos just can't do it justice. It certainly is soul stirring. But then I get on it, and I was riding around just the streets around the dealer, and the thing is an absolute beast. It's like the BMW, you know, like it just wants to unleash. But I'm sitting at red lights near the airport, and I'm saying to myself, let's try something different. Let's try something that isn't putting out nearly 200 horsepower, and that can be more tame in a city or suburban environment, but also has the capability to really rail when you want to. And so I think this is a good choice. So down at GP Motorcycles in San Diego, Chris, one of the salesmen, rides one, and he seems to have quite a bit of experience, not just with selling these things, but also with riding. And you know, he swears by it, and a lot of other people did too. So, well, let me hop on this thing. Here's some brief images around and around. The brakes are supposed to be phenomenal. I took one ride on it from the dealership. They feel great, but I haven't really dug in yet. Oh, look at this. I love this. The L-shaped valves. You're so thoughtful. You need it with these brakes. There's not a lot of space in there. And the dealer put a battery tender charging port as part of their setup process. It's one of the most thoughtful things I've come across. But let's take it for a ride and talk about the kind of things I was concerned about and see how I feel about it. Oh yeah, so immediately this thing, for reference, I'm 6'2", 190 pounds. So the size was concerning. Didn't have any in a demo, so I just had to have good faith I could sit on one. And the thing looks tiny. It looks like a tiny little toy bike. It looks like a 300 or the 390. Not much in terms of size difference, it seems. And I sat on the thing and realized my legs were so much more relaxed than they were on the S1000, not surprisingly. And it felt okay. I kind of wanted something that felt like I could just throw it around, you know what I mean? So the thing seems tiny, and feeling cramped is one problem, but the weight, I think it's like 400 pounds. Give or take fuel, all that. I mean, I think we'll be slightly under 400 and slightly over once you add the fuel. So I don't want to get blown around, because like most places, people really move on the highway. And the last mid-sized bike I had was my first motorcycle, was a Yamaha FZ07, MT07. And that thing, I don't know, I had the sense that it was getting pushed all over the place, especially with some winds on the highway. 18-wheeler would go by. It's, 80 miles an hour is pushing itself a little bit. All that was going on, so I was a little wary about mid-sized bikes, because I went up to the S1000R, all that went away. So that was a concern. So I sat on it yesterday and I just said, man, let's try something different. My kids are sleeping right now. I get to go for a quick burn. I'm not going anywhere that's totally deserted where I'm going to go, 90 miles an hour down some fantasy canyon road. I'm gonna hit corners where, 40 to 60 miles an hour, you're pushing it locally. And then when the time comes where you can take it to the track or get out to a more open road, this thing can handle that too, from what I understand. So it's supposedly really usable. So anyway, started the thing up, bought the thing today, started it up, hopped on it, and the first thing I felt, because the dealership is right next to an on-ramp for the freeway, is immediately it felt quality. It felt like it's really screwed together. It doesn't feel like a light, dinky kind of bike. It feels very light, but it feels very well put together. Like it's some attention and thought put into it, and it immediately felt stable, which I was very surprised about on the highway. I thought this thing was going to get tossed around, but first run, I think it was doing 80 and perfectly happy doing it. And it felt very stable, which I'm still surprised at how they can do that with such a light bike with what appears to be a short wheelbase. But yeah, the feeling of stability really surprised me. Next was the power. Was the power going to disappoint on the highway? This thing between, at highway speed, 60 to 100, it's got juice. It doesn't have that screaming acceleration that the S1000 has, but at the same time, it feels better when it's not flying. When you don't have the revs cranked up and you're not pushing it, it feels much better. Even right now at this light. Feels like when you jump on it, it immediately feels familiar. Like you've ridden it before. That road looks bad right now. I'm gonna say a Z. That Christmas tree's gonna drive me crazy. So they say I shouldn't go past, 60 something, 100 RPMs. The sales guy said, you have to do what you want. So I try to be mindful of that and mindful of whatever makes me smile, both. But yeah, the biggest things in terms of stability and power, I'm cool with, at least at this point. And the engine it's very satisfying. It doesn't feel like a little toy engine. I was scared about that too, I just haven't ridden any KTMs. I get a Husqvarna bumper, but I really didn't know what to expect in terms of the engine character. I mean, the comfort. I mean, it's so it's ridiculously comfortable. Once again, I'm 6'2", I'm like a bigger person, 190 pounds. Very long, well, for at least my height, it's pretty long. 34-inch inseam. long arms, like a 36 sleeve. If I buy shirts that, you know, fitted. But I don't really feel compelled to go searching for different seats and pegs at the moment. I can see how a seat lift could be okay, but then all of a sudden you're relative to your butt, your hands are going to be lower. So I think if you're going to do that, you might want to get risers on your bars to compensate for it. And then you mess with the geometry, so it feels good, man. Anyone that's 6'2" or less should be quite happy. My daughter's 5 and she practically fit on this thing. In this speed, like right now, that BMW, because I'd be in a position that's much more attack. I'm not sure if it's that, if it just, you know, the feedback from the bike. It's more happy just, you know, loping around like this. There's traffic. It's also my first quick shifter, which is a blast. Legs are so close together. It feels like a narrow dirt bike. Not even a dirt bike, but a narrow dirt bike. It feels much more narrow than that Yamaha 250F I was riding. And I, where my knees are, it feels more narrow than the Husky I'm riding too. Just because of the shape of the bearings in that thing in the front. One thing, GMC, come next to you. Highway, these roads, suspension is much more comfortable than the S1000. But it was the sport model. No, I'm sorry, it was the standard model. It didn't have the adaptable suspension. The turn-in, tipping on this is slower. It's more, I have to give it a little more of a deliberate action, at least the way I'm thinking about it. S1000 would drop into a corner, and that's all I wanted to do. And scream. The thing is awesome. I didn't sell it because it's not awesome. I sold it for a change and all the things I already mentioned. But yeah, the tipping's a little slower on this. It feels super stable though. Try this way, see what happens. Could be a little trafficy, but I'm trying to go on like roads that don't allow for RPM variations. Yeah, it feels like suspension has more travel. I don't know if that's the case, but feels like I'm not going to bottom out anytime soon, which is nice because, you know, in the real world, there are bumps and there are surprises. I officially can't see anything with that sun on my face. So head first into a fire truck. Wow, so I just did the quick shifter on that first gear. It had that sort of jolt. I don't know if you saw the camera snap. I think I'm learning this quick shifter likes the higher gears. I'm used to clutch and everything anyway, or just non-quick shifter, quick shifting, you know what I mean? Watch myself with the visibility here. This thing is perfect. Oh, I can't see. It's always something, right? Dark screen or something. Yeah, you can move in the seat. I just want you to just jump around. A bit more on off. S1000. All this slow stuff feels better. It's more at home. It feels refined. The engine feels, all this stuff, the shifter is smooth. It's positive. Very little effort needed to change gears. The clutch is a cable. It's light. It's super usable, super friendly. Thing really is a toy. I mean, just getting the impressions, I'm just going to jump on this thing so much more often for quick blasts, because it feels like you're less committed. It's not like, alright, let's say an hour farther before we get on this thing and try not to do 150. Or, you know, you feel like punching over for a couple hours to go out east. Friends? Friends. Oh yeah, I mean, I can imagine this thing would be a really fun commuter. It's kind of abusive to do to this thing, but I mean, functionally, you know, put a little tank bag or something on this thing and this thing is so... This guy's gonna kill me. The speed. Tell already. But yeah. RPMs, man. I'm shifting early, and it's just, everyone's different, you know. I mean, for me, coming off the S1000, I feel just fine. After this thing has plenty of speed to freak me out if I wanted to apply it. I really like the idea of like an over-braked, over-suspended machine, whether it be a car or a motorcycle. It just gives you that sense of security and real security. What is this thing, 120 horsepower? I mean, if the thing is has some character, it's refined, and it's mapped well enough, it's not just 120 peak horsepower where you get 14,000 RPMs running. 120 horsepower is just fine, and it's more than I think most of us will ever need. Wow. There's going to be some fun times ahead. And if I mentioned, get that track pack thing. I'm not sure what all that means. Get the quick shifter and the blipper. Wow, I'm not used to using that quick shifter. It was reaching for the clutch. Nice. Just kick your foot. And sales guys, they were saying that he likes this better than the Super Duke because even though the power is nuts in the Super Duke and it's fun, he just likes the handling on this better and all that control. I told him I'll be back to the 200 in a year or two, and that's my thoughts. But after riding this thing, man, it's going to be hard to fold up like that again. Not that it bothered me when I was doing it, but once you feel the pleasure, it's going to be hard to go back. It's so nice to be in this position. Oh, I like that. You stand up on the peg so easily, your feet are more under you. You see a bump that sketches you out, you just pop up. Once again, you do the same thing on other bikes as well, pop up, but it's, even on the Harley I stand up, my feet way in front of me. It's nice when it's more conducive. Look at that, no one's using blinkers today. Welcome to California. Including myself. Well, Good times. Let that sucker cool off. There she is. Heat cycles. Things feel good. Gear shift lever, controls. Not searching for stuff. And to me, the suspension doesn't feel too stiff. I mean, it feels, just feels very well sorted out. Yeah, it's stiffer than a touring bike, I'm sure, but for what it is, there's no complaints. I'm not getting jarred. I'm getting way more jarred than that S1000. All the preload I had to dial into that thing to get it to work. So one thing that feels a little bit off are the bars are a little narrow for me. I have these big long arms, at least compared to some, and bars feel a little tight. I know I'm not messing with the bars too much, they'll wind up screwing up how wonderful this thing is, because in practice it feels fine, but I can imagine if I'm really going to get it, I'd want the bars a little forward instead of them bending back towards me, and I'd want them a little wider. Feels nice, really feels nice at these lower speeds. It's that bag of nails sort of engine character the S1000 has. Not present. Feels very nice transition for faster, working real quick. Yeah, initial thrust when you first get on it, it's certainly appreciable. Oh my god, I had this thing on street mode the entire time from the dealership. I haven't even thought about anything else because it's just so pleasing the way it is. I think there's two modes above this. It's like sport, and then there's track. We will play with that later. Once you're moving, the quick shifter feels much better. So in situations where you want a quick shifter because you just want to crank it, you got higher speeds, higher RPMs, it slips into place nice and easy. But if you're banging that thing around at lower speeds, look, you know, first gear, second gear, this feels good. At least when it's brand new. I don't know what it means beyond that. This road's bumpy a little bit. Let's see what it feels like. So much better. These bumps, just kind of floats over them. good day. It's a very good day. Pop up on your seat when you want to. If you don't know,